Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and just get some recap stuff done while we're all kind of just getting ourselves settled. So for all of you lovelies out there, this is us again with me, Burn the Priest, as the Dungeon Master. We are currently playing today the Beyond the Brink campaign, Episode 14, Part 2, The Coup. Today we have our full crew with us, which is always a blast to have. So we have our good friend here, a Moist Cactus, Blackburn, Dr. Fishy Biscuits, Fly Dutchman, and of course, Zeliandra. Where we laugh lest our heroes. Excusez-moi. They found themselves in a throne room, facing down the Beast of Yumgarl. After much discussion amongst themselves about what they were going to do to deal with the situation, both Twazel and Zarya being out of commission for the time in between, it came to Cactus, Creed, and Father Fly's attention that they needed to figure out a plan on how to deal with the situation at hand and give themselves some kind of leverage. They went down to the dungeon and were able to release the original warlord, Leandros, from his prison cell, quote-unquote, accidentally. This gave him the advantage of escaping, and the party hoped that he would run far away and come back when he was ready. So, at that point, Cactus, Creed, Father Fly all found themselves staring down the beast himself as they came to report that they were there when Leandros escaped. The beast asked you many questions after whispering to his general that hailed from the colors of Zeech. Seeming to be displeased, the Beast of Yumgarl slayed him where he stood, slashing him in half and ripping him in twain, throwing his body at the throne that he once sat on. The rest of the generals seemed not present, as both Creed, Zarya, Father Fly, and Cactus all tried to speak to the beast.
Yeah. I just sat down. What the fuck did I miss?
I'm recapping the session.
I told you missed a lot.
Yeah, clearly the beast of fucking Umgarl.
Yeah, you were here when he was revealed as being the baddie on the throne. And then you were gone for a week. Yeah, you did. He said, "You can call me the Beast of Yumgarl," and that's where we ended the session before you were gone.
I must have trauma.
Yeah, you trauma blocked it, definitely. Thanks for the 69 bits, Carson.
Fucking trauma blocking.
So basically, the four party members faced down the Beast of Yumgarl, hoping to talk their way out of it and possibly get the ability to leave this region, continue on with their current plan of attack to get to the Western Front. When Creed spotted a passage open up on the side of the room, where a familiar form of Goliath in full armor with great sword in hand stepped through the small hidden passageway and stood behind the column, as the beast seemed to be ravaged in thought and stress at what had occurred, as he now did not know where Leandros was. He did not know where anything else was going on, and he had begun reaching out telepathically to the party members to see if they were telling the truth. Thankfully to them, the rings of telepathy they wore act as a ward, and acted as a shield of sorts to stop the advance of the Broodlord into their minds, giving him yet just a blank response from his query. And so there you stood, seeing Leandros come out of the side room, your plans in motion and your ideas in shambles, as everything that you have been prepping for has gone up in smoke, and you're left with an option. That the last thing you remember before you step back into this throne room to try and talk down the beast to get what you need, You remember that the warlord is chosen not by will of the constituents or the will of the people, but of the strength of will, the strength of physical prowess, might behind oneself to prove that they are the strongest and they are indeed chosen by the deities above to be the leader of the warband. And so now you seem faced with the choice. And that is where we re-enter the session. The five of you standing in the throne room, having felt the intrusion of the telepathic attack from the Beast of Yumgarl, and it being shrugged off because of the rings you wear. Your weapons and armor still clad to you, reloaded and reshaped as you've gone forth, spending time in between. You all see Leandros trying not to draw attention to yourself, looking at him as he hides behind the column. And then you also see the beast as he seems panicked.
Wait, the beast seems panicked?
You specifically, Father Fly, through your insight of being a cleric, you felt a little twinge of a thought pass through the barrier of the ring you wear. And you felt fear. Not your fear. You felt the emotion pass through your barrier and into your mind, but for a second as it dissipated like water on a hot sidewalk.
The beast is afraid.
Great,
Okay,
nothing better than a cornered beast. Love that. We're gonna have fun.
I mean, like, we could make it more afraid.
As one note before we fully begin, Zelly, I leveled up your character for you because I saw that it didn't happen yet. You got 2 new abilities for being a Stormcaller sorcerer, and I added 2 spells. I added Counterspell and Banishment as your 2 spells that you learned, which would be along your theme.
Okay, thank you. I'm
Alright.
logging in now.
Yeah, you're fine. But that is where you stand at this point in time, with the twinge of fear along the mind's breath of Father Fly, a beast standing in front of you, its eyes darting between the room, trying to look through you and understand what is going on. And then, of course, the Goliath Leandro staying behind the column, waiting for his moment, waiting for a signal, an opportunity to keep what he kills.
Okay, so there's no question about this. Leandros wants that ass.
Since you weren't here last session, Leandros was embarrassed by the beast when he fought him last. When the beast came to him to take the throne through its planning, as you all were missing for a couple weeks hunting Old One-Eye, he fought Leandros, but because the Beast of Yumgarl is gifted with magic and psionics, he cheated, in the words of Leandros, and not only gave Leandros a deep cut across his chest, leaving him with a very nasty scar, but also inject him with a parasite that is well known, used by broodlords. Creed, seeing this, healed him and forced both the wound to fully close and the removal of said parasite, removing the foreseeable termination by monster that would have happened to Leandros, giving him a second chance. And so Leandros, being indebted to Creed, has taken his moment to give you an opening, or to take back what is his. You do not entirely know. All you know is that you now have someone who is willing to die for this opportunity, working with you against this monster from another world.
And we got the Zinch General in the back there, yeah.
Oh, Zeech is dead.
Oh, he did?
He did. He got ripped in twain by the beast at the end of last session.
Oh, that's good. Good.
It wasn't part of my plan for what it's worth.
Yeah, it wasn't part of Creed's plan. It was just The beast believed him to be trying to turn against him and took his failures as an insult and murdered him.
I mean, honestly, either way, you got rid of the most troublesome of the four. Like, the Corn General is straightforward. He's just gonna punch you in the face, right? Like, the Nurgle General, kind of gonna be annoying to put down, and the Slanesh General is just gonna try to suck you off. The Tzeentch General, no one knows what he's gonna do.
I don't have the insinuation at all.
He probably doesn't know what the hell he was gonna do.
Who's to say? But
like,
here you
it's
stand.
Tzeentch.
So, and also as a secondary background information for you, Cactus, the telepathy rings allow you guys to talk instantaneously between each other, so it doesn't take the 6 seconds in combat. You can send instantaneous messages.
Ah, based. Love it.
Because it is technically at the speed of thought.
Green's gonna go ahead and mention that he does know what the Coleman Honor expects that we allow the fight to happen. But if what we are told is true, Leandros is bound to lose again. However, well, to put it rather bluntly, that thing fucking scares me.
I don't think there's any point in trying to fight this thing fair. Then we got to bring it down and let Leandros tell the story how he wants to tell it. Because we're not making it out of here, I don't think. Otherwise.
What you're telling me is history is written by the victor?
Yeah. I think that's exactly it.
What's the plan then?
We kill this thing. Maybe Leandros walking in as a... I'm sorry, did the beast see Leandros walk in?
No.
Okay.
He is
I
not
think
aware of
Leandros,
Leandros' presence.
I think Leandros popping in is maybe not like an opening for us to start our attack on it.
How big is this thing?
About 10 feet tall, if not a little more. It's a large creature, if that means anything to you.
I had a thought. It's completely random, but it's a thought. Because I can visualize the chariot and where it's at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Technically, I could open a dimension door underneath of it. And
Not
teleport it
that big of a door.
on top of the beast.
So it's not a portal gun.
Kinda cool if it was.
It would be really cool if it was, but it's not a portal gun. You can, so with Dimension Door is that you basically open a door in front of you, as it says, and you step through it, and then you pop out wherever you can visually imagine where it's supposed to be. And you can take one willing creature with you through said door.
Yeah, which is the problem. Like I can dimension door one person and blink another, but like that still leaves two people here who are stuck.
Yes.
That thing also must be wanting to go with you.
You, bitch. I was referring to you. I was referring to leaving, if that option comes.
Yeah, I don't think Creed's down for that, bro. He's not one to run from a fight.
I mean, fuck it. Let's not. If we're not gonna fight fair, I mean, fuck it. Where's my smoke shot?
What's our plan? I shall follow your lead. Don't see this fight going well, but
Okay, can you describe what the beast looks like, or does it look like the actual beast of Umagarl?
He looks like a bird lord. Like he's 12 feet tall, purple skin, blue chitin plating, big old tongue, big old teeth, yellow piercing eyes, 4 arms. You know, nasty looking.
He's a Gene Stealer Brood Lord.
Yes.
Okay.
He
Just
is,
stock.
he is the big baddie. He is the not good person.
All right. You guys remember how we fought Old One Eye, or not Old One Eye, the Red Terror?
No,
think
I
we
won't
should-
do that from my mind.
Yeah, I think we just kind of went at.
Yeah, but stay away from its front, its claws. Right? Stay away from its back.
How about we just stay away from it?
Yes, stay away from it. I suggest Creed and Nate. Y'all can get in close and draw its fire, while Zarya shoots the ever-living Christ out of it. Zarya, aim upper torso, base of neck. It's where its plates are thinnest. And then Twals will blast the ever-living shit out of it, while I try to confuse it with magic. I don't have any other plan better than that.
I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
How many of the explosives did you steal?
I have 2 C4 blocks left.
And Creed looks up. How upset do you think Leandros would be about having to fix the infrastructure?
That's not the problem. The problem is I'm not. You rigging these things up's not going to be that easy. They don't stick. They're not going to stick to it. They're not like sticky bombs.
I'm not referring to it.
Oh, you're talking about trying to level the whole fucking place?
I'm referring to the ceiling.
I doubt that would do anything other than piss it off.
Nate, would you
I have
like
to
to
admit
look
that.
through your head for an inspiring thought based on your fight with Old One Eye?
So I need to roll it?
You said me?
Yes.
I remember we got it on its side or back or side, and that was debilitating.
You also found something in the building.
Oh, I don't remember what it was though.
I don't remember.
Player me doesn't remember, but I'm sure my character would remember.
Creed does. My ability fee allows me to remember anything in the past month.
Yes. So, Creed, you would remember then that there was a summoning circle in that building where Old One Eye was, and that you guys found evidence that that is where what appeared to be where Death Leaper came from. Which gave you guys the idea, or possibly the notes, that these are coming from a different plane. A different dimension, a different world, a different whatever.
Banish that thing. Zoe!
Oh, okay, I can manage it.
You can definitely try. But here's the kicker.
Oh wait, I still have that magic sword, don't I? The paladin sword.
Which paladin sword?
The one you gave Zala.
Oh, the Crucible of Sin. Yes, you do have that.
Hey, Creed, here. Trust me, stick it with it.
I suppose so. Alright.
At least for me, it was a longsword. I don't know what it is for you.
It would become back to its full greatsword form in Creed's hands. But Creed, you would feel as if you can handle it. That it would swing easily, even without your training in great weaponry. And Zelly, if you wish to cast Banishment, you feel in your Sorcerer Mind Palace that something of this strength, knowing that it is a powerful caster in its own right, would take a significant amount of effort on your part in time that your party would have to buy you.
Got it.
So if you wish to do it, you can pass that information along that it would be time on your end to fully cast the spell, and that they would have to give you those moments.
I do wish to cast banishment.
All right. You believe that it would take you close to a minute, if not a little bit more, to fully capture this thing in your banishment spell. You do not know if it will take longer or sooner, but you imagine that if you're able to distract it or pull away its own magical power, that it would shorten the amount of time it would take for you to cast it fully.
So should I go last after everybody does whatever they're gonna do to it?
I mean, you guys can go in whatever order you please. We can set up the... You guys can either roll the initiative, or we can just set you guys up in whatever order you see fit.
I mean, should I shoot it in the face? I feel like that would be a good distraction.
Alright, well then,
Start
go
powering up my
ahead.
laser.
Let's go ahead and everyone get initiative rolled to just get everyone's place in the turn order.
Aye.
Damn, I guess I won't be.
Oh yeah.
Rough over here.
Yeah, this. Wow.
I mean, you got a 12, it's not bad.
Oh, it's not bad. He said it was rough. That's pretty accurate. I don't suppose this thing gets like a 1.
Unfortunately, no.
Ah,
It did not roll a 1, which is unfortunate.
that would have been very helpful.
Lucky fee. Come on, stupid dice. I love and hate the owlbear dice. Love and hate.
Is there actually dice in here?
Yeah, it's a little square up near the party list.
I didn't know that.
Now you do. Alright, so if you guys are essentially initiating combat, all the initiatives are in play. So now it comes down to what your plan's going to be. The current initiative orders, we have Cactus, Leandros, the Beast, followed by Creed, Twazel, Nate, and Zarya. So you are now in combat, and I have on my paper how many rounds it will take to complete the spell once Zelly casts it or begins the spell for it. So,
I'm sorry. Would we? I guess she would know this. I wouldn't maybe know this about if once she starts casting it, if she can do any other things while she's doing that, or is that like her action to?
it's going to take her
focus on...
full focus.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's give her some time and space to do her thing.
Power in my laser.
Power in the laser.
Prepare the laser.
Fires and missiles. Alright, so starting off the turn order, we have Cactus.
Alright, I'm gonna use my bonus action for Unsettling Words, which makes it take, for its next save, it's gotta roll a 1d8 and subtract that from its save.
Cool.
And we're gonna go ahead and do that, because I'm gonna cast Phantasmal Killer on it.
Alright. Give me the long and short. What's it do? What's it need?
Tap into into the creature, into the nightmares of a creature that you can see within range and create an illusionary manifestation of its deepest fears, i.e. Leandros. There's only to that creature. Target must succeed a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, it becomes frightened. And at the end of each of the target's turns before the spell ends, the target must succeed another wisdom saving throw or take 4d10 psychic damage.
Alrighty. So let's see what it gets. Alright, so it got that, and it has very nice. So it got a 26 on its save, minus 1, it got a 25.
Doesn't matter. I was about to say 26 is way above it, so yeah, it completes the save, and that's my turn.
All right. Then we have Leandros, who steps out from the column and approaches the beastie. Gets into combat with said beastie. And he starts off by taking a real big swank at him. You see Leandros become enraged as he runs at the monster, becoming reckless in his pursuit of landing a hit. And you see his first hit land, dealing significant damage on his first attack. And hitting with the second. So you see Leandros come in and get 2 good swings in on the Beast of Yumgarl, getting 2 large cuts into its flank as it surprises the beast, exploding from behind the column and charging headlong with its greatsword. And now we have the beast's turn. So the beast is going to try and cast. It seems to look down at Leandros and just let out this sonic screech at him. Just, it seems to become guttural and almost a magical form coming from behind it, and he just unleashes this power at Leandros. And you see Leandros become dizzy on his own feet, having issues keeping himself upright as he seems stunned. And then you see the... And then you see it come down with its 2 larger scythe arms to attack Leandros. Dunk. Dunk. Oh. Oh no.
Well, Leandros is dead.
It just rolled a crit on both attacks.
Yeah, well, Leand.
Alright, so we're just gonna...
Can I use my reaction to not make one of those a crit?
What are you looking to use?
Barbs.
Yep, you can do it. You can give him... I think it's... With it, you can essentially cause disadvantage on it. Can't necessarily make him reroll, but you can give him disadvantage. So I'll have him reroll his first attack.
And then Leandros, it will be I can choose a different creature.
Leandros will get advantage on his next action, or whoever you wish to give it to.
Gonna give it to who's next in the turn order?
Would be Creed.
Creed? Well, there you go. Creed, yeah, have advantage in your next attack.
Wonderful.
So he still hits with the second attack, but it is not a crit.
Better than a crit.
So, yeah, so you see Leandros get hit pretty hard by the beast. He is not looking the good. Alright.
E&D question. Is lay on hands like magical duct tape? Unrelated to what's going on. But...
Sort of. For creatures, not items.
Okay, cool. If you like, I can kind of put it back together. Then.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Alright, cool.
Probably. Who's to say? But yeah, so Yeah, so you see him get slashed by the beast, and he seems to be bleeding pretty significantly, as Leandros also seems stunned, and then that brings us to Creed.
As we're talking, I'm actually reading the description for this Crucible of Sin. This thing sounds actually really cool looking.
It's pretty fucking dope.
All right. Yeah, Creed's gonna just go on in. I assume Leandros is just out there with a sword and nothing else.
Yeah, he basically has a great sword in his armor.
And is he currently impaled or was he just slashed?
Just slashed.
All right. I can make it to him. All right. Creed's gonna push forward. Be right about there. And he's gonna go ahead and do the guiding bolt. Yell something, I guess, angry towards this creature and try his best. It's not gonna work, but you know, it's a thought that counts.
Righto.
Wait. Yeah, because you said I have advantage.
You do.
Right?
You do have advantage. Also, you guys as a party have 3 fate points currently, which gives you a free reroll per hit point. Or per fate point.
I was going to say, per hit point.
You know what I
Okay,
was
I got
talking
40
about.
of them bitches.
You know what I was talking about. Don't be a schmuck.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I got 45 of them bitches. You can have 30 of them.
Yeah, that missed. I doubt an 8 will hit.
No, but
You
again,
have
you do
advantage,
have a
roll
fate
again.
point. He did.
Damn, bro, really?
Yeah.
But you do
It's
have
only
a fate
3,
point if you
that's
want to
tough.
burn it.
Oh, that's fine. Fine. It's fine. Yeah, that's not gonna work. So he's gonna go ahead and move up next to Leandros.
Okay.
Question.
Yes.
Can I give him stuff?
Technically, yes. It depends
Because
on what you're trying to give him.
I'm basically trying to just dump my extra because I have the baleful shield and then I have a standard shield.
Right.
So I was just gonna dump the regular shield and like kick it over to him.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do that.
All right. That way he has something, and then Creed's going to go ahead and try to post up and brace for this eating he's about to be taking.
So you seem, as you stand in front of the beast, able to hold the Crucible of Sin and the Baleful Shield very easily and fight with these 2 larger-than-life weapons. And you seem comfortable, even though you know that you stand in front of something that is terrifying to its core. Alright, which brings us to Zelly. Twazzle, what you got?
Can I cast the banishment spell yet, or I have to wait one more turn?
No, you can start the casting.
Okay, got it. I'm gonna start the casting.
Yep.
Banishment spell.
So you guys hear Twazzle begin to chant words as energy starts to spiral around her as she's forming the cantations and using the somatic components and is pushing all of her energy into it. And as you well know going into the combat, that it's going to take time and you are going to give her that time. Morning, Joe. Alright, which brings us to Father Fly and the fish biscuit.
Alright, for my action, I will use my Emboldening Bond feature and use it on Fishy, and myself, and Twazzle. And for my bonus action, I will cast the spell Sanctuary on Twazzle. So she's warded against attacks. Any creature who targets her with an attack or harmful spell must first make a Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, they have to choose a new target or lose the attack. and that doesn't protect her against area effects. And then once her banishment spell goes off, the spell will end.
Okay.
And I'll just kind of step up by Cactus.
All right.
And that's it for me.
Brings us to Dr. Fish Biscuits. What do?
Look, is my gun recharged?
Yes.
I use gun.
Use gun. Roll to use gun.
Eh, 15.
So that is technically a miss. You can either use a fate point or you can do. You can just take the result.
You can add a D4 to that.
Oh, because I had.
You get an emboldening
Oh
bond.
yeah, she does have the emboldening bond. So let's see. That is a hit.
18.
That is a hit.
Dose. I know.
Very nice. Very nice.
Between my shots, I'm gonna do Hunter's Mark on it,
All right.
along with the feathered foe, because I forgot. And then I shoot again.
You shoots again. Do big shoots.
Brother. Do I need a
Brother.
D4 every time? Dang. I'll just cry.
You can use a fate point.
Oh, what was the fate point? I roll again?
Yeah, you basically just roll it again.
I use a fate point.
No, righty.
Oh, that was almost a 20.
Oh, so close. That's a hit. On your
20
second shot.
stress. Is somebody up there? Oh, so I also. And then another D6 because of. So many buttons.
So many button.
7, 8, 9, 10 plus whatever the fuck the damage actually is.
So much damage. Alright, so you did a bunch of damage. You see both rounds go flying, hit squarely on the beast, slamming into its center carapace as they splinter, as they hit, kind of crackling with energy across his body. You see him reel back from the impact as you hear a loud screech come from him, almost like an angerous roar. And we come back to Cactus. Doug?
To
Okay.
throw, I'm going to use bonus action to throw a bardic inspiration over onto Creed. So you get another 1d8 for your next roll, basically. Ability check, attack roll, saving throw, whatever you want.
Probably gonna need that.
And then I'm going to. I gotta find the damn thing. There we go. Try and cast Fairy Fire on the damn thing. Dex check DC 14.
Dex check DC 14. Got it. Whomp. Alright, and Zah. Ooh, lucky you. He does not make the save. He is casted by the Fairy of Fire.
Oh fuck yeah! Okay, we now have advantage on all attack rolls against his ass.
Alright, is that your turn?
That's me.
Alright, Leandros
Well, I'm
is
gonna draw
going
my
to try...
revolver, but yeah.
Well, yeah, that's more of a free action. Leandros is going to try and come out of his stun. He does not. So he's basically out of combat for right now, which brings us to the Beastie. The Beastie sees Creed and wishes to fight Creed. Unable to cast his magics, he comes down upon you with his melee weapons, his two claws and his fisticuffs. Oh, I gotta get my other paper. I have too many things on this desk. It is me, Kermit the Frog. Alright, so you're aware, Creed, with your Baleful Shield at full strength as it is currently, you have a +6 to your AC.
Oh. Alright. I'm put that in. I'm not gonna help, but you know, numbers.
Alright, so he's going to attack 4 times with his pincers. Oh, he misses the first one. Wonderful. What's your AC currently?
22.
Alright, so that's a miss. A fist. Where's his fist? There it is. So he hits you with a fist. Misses with a fist. So you take numbers. Yeet. You take 6 bludgeoning damage. Very anticlimactic. I thought it was going to be doing more. But you take 6 bludgeoning from the beastie.
Am I allowed to yell at it, or do I have to wait for my turn?
I mean, it's your turn now.
Oh, it is. Perfect. Even better, I can mock it. Well, I can do everything else, too. If that is the best you have, this fight shall be short.
Its feelings are hurt.
Good. It should be. Check. Yeah, it's close enough. I'm gonna go ahead and swing the Crucible of Sin.
Alright. Roll that dice.
Wow.
You do have advantage because he has Fairy Fire on.
Oh, yes, I forgot.
You also have 2 attacks per action. Remembers.
How about a 17?
That is a hit. Go ahead and roll your second attack. That is a hit.
That's a 23.
You could roll the other d20 to see if you crit. If you want, because you got advantage on both your attacks. Oh, so close. Yeah, so you hit both times.
Alright. That's a 9. Then that's also a 9. 18 damage.
Very nice.
I love the attunement, otherwise that'd be even better.
I mean, you could technically have the attunement because you guys have been around it for so long. It would have been affecting you otherwise, but I think you just using it as a big old fuck off sword is a lot funnier.
I think I would have to spend time attuning it. I could, but I feel like I would actually have to take the time to sit down and do it myself.
Fair enough.
If I was smart, I would have added smite. But that's good enough. I guess what I will do with my little bit of time left is that I will shift closer, attempt to, I will shift closer to Leandros and attempt to, even though this shield doesn't cover like anything for him, at least try to give a bit of a wall.
All right. And you do see that your swipes from your weapon laid some pretty deep lacerations in the beast, cutting through some of his chitin. It seems to be very effective.
Oh, wait, never mind. Oh, alright.
Alright. Zelly, you're continuing your concentration.
Can I cast it yet, or have to wait one more turn?
Oh, you've been casting it.
Yeah, I've been casting it, so I'm saying, can I let it go? Let it fire?
No, I will let you know when the spell is complete. So you're basically, for the time, you're charging your laser, and
Charging the laser. Got it.
basically
you Kamehameha for a long time.
You're basically expecting it to take a full minute before you're able to actually capture the beast's self in the banishment. But I will let you know if anything else happens that shortens that time frame, because like I said, I have the actual number of rounds that it will take here on my sheet.
Okay, got it. She's still firing up her laser.
Alright. Then we go to Father Fly and Dr. Fish Biscuits.
Can I Did I glean any information when the beast cast that spell on Leandros about? You can tell me anything or nothing, or have me roll whatever. But did it have a verbal component to its spell casting when it used that spell? And two, did I get any information on why it looked like it couldn't cast a spell this round, or why it didn't?
So it did seem to have a verbal component because it did screech at Leandros. You're not sure if it was in a different language, which is why it sounded as if it did. But you recognize some of the magic, and the magic does require a verbal component. As for why it didn't cast a spell on Creed, it was because it just chose not to.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well then, I'm going to cast Silence, which is a 20-foot diameter or radius sphere. So like I don't know, like this.
Yeah.
It's pretty big, but like over this whole area. As my action, and
There's your 20-foot sphere.
hell yeah. So spells in the radius that require a verbal component can't happen. And yeah, I think that's all I got for this turn.
Alright. Fish biscuits.
God.
Gun. Roll for gun. What spell do you cast? I cast gun. There, you have advantage
Most
because of
American spell.
cactus.
Yay! Natural 20!
Jesus fuck.
Doesn't fucking need advantage.
Roll advantage on your second attack as well. While you're
Now?
doing the hits. Yeah, you can go ahead and do it. Might as well just get them both done. I was gonna say if you crit again, I was gonna shit my pants right here. It's gonna be live on television.
Oh, wait, do I have a 18? No, I don't think I do. That would be funny.
That would be pretty funny. Alright, so
I know.
you
Anyway.
So yeah, you crit on your first one, you hit with your second one.
Okay, so here's all the damage for the first.
Bruh.
Just one.
56.
And
Did you
that
just
one.
say 56?
Mhm.
Yeah, she did. To be fair, it is an anti-material. Or one, she's a ranger. Two, it's an anti-material
And
rifle.
so, sneak attack and hunting. Yeah. Good.
You know, I was feeling pretty proud of my 18. I'm really feeling kind of inadequate here.
How do you think I feel, dude?
That's not my second hit.
I have 0 offensive combat capability.
And for second damage, 30. Because I don't think I get any of the other stuff in the second.
No. So 80, 90, 95. Go. Gonna be So yeah, your two shots ring out. Your first shot hits it square in the throat, and you see it rip through flesh and sinew as it goes through it. The second shot hitting in its chest plate, breaking off a few pieces, but it seeming to spark across its body as it did before. But that first shot seemed to hit a part that wasn't armored and just did a significant amount of damage to its fleshy bits. And it seems to be bleeding precariously. So you're definitely doing something to it.
Done.
Brings us back to Cactus.
I cast 12 gauge. No. Actually, I could cast 12
Yes,
gauge. I
you
still
literally
have
you literally have an 8-gauge shotgun.
that. I was about to make a meme of like, I'm gonna cast 12 gauge. No, I actually can cast 12 gauge. Where's that bitch at? I don't see. Where the fuck did this thing go?
It should be in your inventory.
The 3 bigs to C4 are there. No, it's gone. The rifle and the revolver are still there, but the shotgun's gone.
You may not have added it as an equipment.
Hang on, I'm just gonna pull you up on. You sent it to me on Discord.
I did.
Bonus action blink.
Yes, you also do have that because of your armor.
Yep. Yeet.
Big Yort.
Yeah, yeet. We're doing slugs.
Alright. Roll the hit.
+2, so we're gonna roll this. I'm gonna roll this +2. Oh, I'm so glad I have advantage.
Yeah.
Doesn't really fucking matter, does it? Now?
Yeah,
Hey,
you
welcome
blink
to the
up,
party, pal.
you go to fire, and the round just seems to hit the armor and ricochet.
Sorry, doggo. You do what now?
Your round ricochets off its chitin.
Ah, cursed.
Very much so. Right, you got anything else?
Nope.
Alright, Landros is going to try and get out of his stun lock. And he does. He returns to the land of the no longer stunned. And you
That's
hear...
definitely different, but-
You hear him yell, "You monster!" as he comes down
Actually,
at
you just
him with
watch
the
him
sword.
mouth that because he's in silence.
Yeah, you see what looks like. You're not sure what he said, but you imagine it was pretty fucking cool. Alright, and so he hits with his first attack. And does not with his second.
You say he doesn't land his second or doesn't live to hit his second?
No, he doesn't land his
I
second
was gonna say,
hit.
wow.
Just immediately dies. Just poofs out of existence.
That's why I wanted you to clarify.
And you see him get a good hit on him, but it doesn't seem to do much. He still seems to be coming out of his stun, so to speak, trying his best to keep himself on his footing. Alright, and that brings us to the Beast himself. The Beast is going to try and attack. It's going to use one of its large, not pincers, but its talon hands on the cactus. And that's a hit on the cactus. It's a 28. So you, sir, are grappled by the talons of its right arm, and you take 12 bludgeoning. The second talon comes down and tries to hit Creed, and seems to hit your shield and bounce back as it comes down at you and knocks it away. And then it will try to hit Creed with its fists. And it misses with a fist. And misses with the other fist. Alright. At that point, it comes back to Creed. Grappled.
I'm trying to find something. Alright, let me look at the map. You are on the other side. I'd like to go over and try to help the cactus.
Alright.
So you said that he's grappled, right?
Yes.
Is this with an armored arm hand?
Technically,
Does it
yes.
have Titan on it?
Yeah, there's chitin on its forearm. And then
Are there any
there's
exposed
a space in the wrist.
Alright, Creed's gonna take a good old swing there and see if he can catch it.
Alright, so There's one or so. Let's go ahead and roll to hit. You have advantage because he still has fairy fire.
I'm gonna point out before I do anything.
Mm-hmm.
If I mess this up, I am sorry, Cactus, because it's going straight into you. So just know that it was not intentional.
Let's just see if you hit first before we start apologizing.
13.
Remember, you have advantage because it's affected by fairy fire.
I got a 22.
Alright, so that's a hit. So now you have a choice. You can either try and do damage to the hand to release Cactus, or you can give me an emphasis roll to try and sever the hand completely.
How would I do that? I roll again?
So an emphasis roll is that you basically would roll 2d20s, and we would take the result that is farthest from 10. If it's above 10, great. If it's below 10, bad.
Alright, let's see what happens here.
Alright, so 13 is technically farther away from 10, so you would succeed in not anything extravagant, but it would be a critical success in this sense, but nothing too flashy, as you simply bring the Crucible of Sin down as you grab its attention, as it's swinging at you, and step through, severing its hand in place, as Cactus drops to the ground, still grappled by the talon claw of the Broodlord.
Alright, am I
I am
able...
back. I apologize.
there was a chance I might have killed you. So
No, you
it
didn't.
didn't happen, though.
I know it's
So...
a complete derailment, but I just had a crackhead walk up to my door and ask me to, quote, "Can I take a shit in your shower?"
Huh.
Oh,
Weird.
Classic.
Anyway,
and?
so Cactus, you got grappled by the Broodlord during its melee attack, and then Creed came over and severed the hand holding you, and you now fell to the ground, still grappled by the hand, but no longer attached to the Broodlord.
Hey, good enough for me.
So, could I use my bonus action to... Oh, if I was going to try and help him, would I have to push the hand off, or could I just help him up?
You'd have to, like, wrench the hand off of it. Because it's the way the town is that it's 3 large talon claws. Basically, they closed around him. You'd have to, like, open them. Or he would have to open them.
Wonderful. Creed's just going to politely be like, "You're welcome," and then he's going to duck, run back over to the entrance.
Just, oh!
I did my part, it's your problem now. That's about all I'm going to do.
Alright. That brings us to Twaza, who's still casting and doing a good job of it. So, I need you, Zelly, to roll me a charisma check. No.
he has to do that.
I know he does. I'm asking you specifically as a character to do it. Because you're
Charisma?
working
Okay.
your sorcerer power. I know he will have to, but this is for something else.
Gotcha.
And you get to add a D4 as well.
Oh, the anticipation is killing me.
My dice are very sad, wilty right now.
Oh.
4.
Alright, so you try to reach out to sense the magic around the Broodlord to see if you can get a way to siphon more from him to try and encapsulate him faster. And as you reach out with your power, you see that you just don't have the strength quite yet as you're still casting it. And so you don't gain any advantage, but you don't lose any advantage as well. You do have issues with your power flowing back into you, but because you were simply trying to grow your sphere of influence, nothing bad happens, even with the crit fail.
That's good.
But yeah, you continue to cast it. You do feel that he has become weakened. So you are feeling that your cage, so to speak, is closing around him.
She really, really has to itch in between her forehead, but she just can't do it.
You're just like, my nose has never itched as bad as it has now. All right, Nate, and then we'll follow up with Dr. Fish Biscuits. All right, Nate, coming out swinging with the spiritual weapon.
Spirit ball, motherfucker!
I summon the spirit weapon. It just immediately crits on the Brood Lord.
I summon the spirit weapon. What is it? It's a fucking Glock, bitch. Run your pockets.
It's a Glock. Alright, you got anything else, Mr. Nate?
Yeah, I've got the mobile feet, so I'm gonna move up. I've got 35 feet of movement, and I can move up 1, 2, 3 to here, and use my action to use the devotee sensor and make a melee attack. I guess I have. Ooh. We still have fairy fire on it.
Yes. You still have the advantage.
Hell yeah! I'll take it.
There you go. That's a hit.
Damage. Plus, it does 1d8 radiant damage also.
I mean, you'd have advantage regardless of fairy fire because he's being flanked, right?
Technically, I wish there was like a way I could actually like point his facing. If that was
Yeah,
a way
it's,
for me to do it.
it's
but
weird with like big creatures too.
Yeah.
So 11 damage from the sensor, and then with my mobile feet, I don't provoke opportunity attacks after I've made a melee attack. So then I'm gonna back up to right there.
You're like, haha, scoot. Very good. Very good.
Hell yeah!
And
That's me.
then, Zarya, do you cast the gun?
Good.
I imagine as such. She's just gonna burn through all of her ammo in this fight. Like, no, 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 no.
No. Oh wait, it's supposed to be advantage. Please.
Thank goodness.
Whee!
All right, that second one's a hit.
Bless all of the good shit.
Oh yes.
And one more d6. Ta-da!
Mm-hmm.
Gun.
Roll gun again.
Oh yeah. Oh wait. I
You
keep
get
forgetting
2
about
gun.
the- Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Zarya!
Zelly, don't worry about your spell. We're gonna. Zelly's
Yeah.
gonna kill this thing before we're done.
No, he's just gonna be deleted here in a second.
Oh my god, I'm feeling so bad now.
gun.
Well, think of it this way, Blackburn. Think of it this way. At least with your smite, you can spike like a motherfucker.
Yeah, but if we kill this thing, he's gonna be pissed.
But at least you can. Do you know what the most damage I can do in a single turn is? A D10 plus 3.
She also has a legendary weapon that was stolen from a monster not of this world.
I was talking about the leaper scythe. That's my big one. I get 1 D10 plus 3.
It also gives you a bunch of mobility and shenanigans.
I do get to triple my jump distance though,
Yes.
which does let me do the boing boing.
It does let you do the boing boing. Alright, so Zarya, you unleash these 2 rounds, again hitting it in the soft spots in the plate that you have opened. And these beetles seem to hit and burrow deep as you send it into a rage. As it screams in pain as you see it become weaker as the blood continues to pour from its body as these rounds find home in its chest. And then you seem to do a lot of damage. It still stays standing, even though you have hit it with these rounds of impeccable firepower and magnitude. It's, even with missing one of its hands, it still seems ravenous to its intent to end you where you stand.
Oh.
And we find ourselves back to Cactus.
If I used blink, would its hand go with me?
No, not because you're using the armor blank.
Okay, yeah, I'm doing that. And I'm going over here.
Okay.
Going over here.
Actually, a valid question. For your magical door thing, can a hand consent?
Can a hand consent?
A hand
It's
cannot
a-
give consent.
I mean,
Like-
the hand would be an object at this point, so he wouldn't have to. It wouldn't have to be willing.
Okay, well, random thought. Sorry, I probably could have worded that in a not weird way, but
You're fine. All right, Cactus. What do you got?
We're going shotgun again.
All right, roll the hit with shotgun.
1d20 plus 5. 21.
That is a hit.
And then it is 4d10 plus 4.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. Go fuck yourself.
So close. So close.
15 damage.
So you let this round loose, and it definitely seems to hit it pretty effectively. It's still along the line of where it's still standing, and it took the hit, but some of it was blocked by the armor, but it did seem to get to the squishy crunchies.
Oh, reminds me, it needs to make an athletics or acrobatics check to not be knocked prone.
It's a large creature, so it will have advantage to not be knocked prone by your shotgun.
That is fine. It is girth.
And it saves it.
I'm sure it did.
Alright, so that brings us to Leandros, who has now shaken off his stun and is going to try and go in and attack the monster once more.
The warrior, you shake it off. Is it a loaded shake? I know you don't get that reference, Grim. Sorry.
He seems to miss twice as the monster bats away the sword strikes, as they seem to
with
be.
advantage? Bro.
Yeah, it's even as they seem to be stuck in combat, to the point where the brewer grabs the sword as it comes down on him with one of its talon claws, and just stares down Leandros. And coming to the monster's turn, you see that it tries to unleash some of its magic, but no sounds emit from the monster. Where then all of a sudden you feel its gaze just spread, almost as if a presence falls upon the room you're sitting in. Almost as if a layer of fear, if you will, has started to creep into the back of your heads. And you can sense that this is not magic. This is something else that the creature has as an innate ability. It seems to be bringing in a shadow of within itself of its former master that brings a sense of dread upon all of you. And you fear that something is coming because of this power it is trying to unleash.
Question.
Yes.
Because this is not technically a roll, okay? Obviously, this is not a fear check. I'm curious about something, okay? I have an ability that gives me and everyone I see within 30 feet advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed. Can that ability in some way narratively help fight that fear?
It could. It could help those that you can see within 30 feet of you kind of not feel as afraid. But those who are outside of your sphere of influence will feel it. But this is not something that is going to cause you to become immediately paralyzed with fear. It is a creeping sense of unease, of dread, of events to come. And you stand in front of this monster as this feeling passes over you. And it just begins to enrage itself, seeming to grow more ferocious, its wounds starting to close. As you could see a bud starting to form over its wrist where its hand was severed, its body seeming to quickly regenerate as it starts to reach for Leandros, grabbing him by the neck and lifting him up. You all need to give me intelligence saves.
Ha 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 ha.
Plus a D4 for me, Zelly, the sorry, or fishing.
Oh, I'll see you all in therapy.
Not a particularly smart bunch.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and I can't silvery barbs it, so.
I get 4 more than when I rolled, right?
Alright,
You add a
Cassius, you
D4.
wanna get
Roll a
plus two
D4
to
there,
their
so.
saving throws.
Oh, you said D4?
Yeah, from Emboldened Bond.
Four.
So, Father Fly, Twazzle, and Dr. Fish Biscuits. This feeling that falls over you like a wave hits you and then passes through you. A phrase passing through your heads, almost as if a mantra being led by the Father himself, is that fear is the mind killer. I will let it pass through me. And you seem unaffected by this dread that flows through the room. The rest of you, though, become enthralled in this fear, this anxiety. The hairs on the back of your neck standing up as you feel the Brood Lord going for what would seem to be the kill on Leandros.
Okay, would that? Okay, does that count as an effect or as being frightened or charmed?
No,
Fuck.
you're not being frightened or charmed. It is more of a narrative. You're being dreaded and it feels bad. So you feel all this happening as you feel that he is going for the killing blow on Leandros, and you know you have a single moment to strike.
Blackburn, no, let me do that.
Um. How high off the ground is Leandros?
He's probably got lifted like a foot off the ground, so his head's probably like 8 feet in the air. Then you could probably easily reach him with the sword.
Alright. So I can give a better chance to someone, but it's gonna be either the guy who's gonna die or the guy that can't hit very hard.
You know that you have one moment to make a difference here. Whatever your choice is will affect the current narrative that you see in front of you.
Now, Cactus, I can do that. Does Leandros have any feathers on him?
I know what you're going for. I have feathers on my.
I can reach Leandros, I can't reach you.
Yeah, you should be able to.
This isn't a turn, this is a moment.
Does Leandros have feathers
Yes.
on him? Would I have? This is a moment. Could I grab one and do something?
Yes.
Creed is going to reach out. He's going to steal a feather from Leandros. And he's going to cast Fear.
Alright.
I project a phantasmal image of a creature's worst fears. Each creature in a 30-foot cone must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or drop whatever it is holding and become frightened for the duration. While frightened by this spell, a creature must take the dash action, move away from you by the safest available route in each of its turns unless there's nowhere to move. Then, if it ends its turn in a location where it doesn't have line of sight to me, it has to make a wisdom saving throw. Attack and save is 16.
Alright. By a stroke of luck, you cast this spell as a last-ditch effort. You feel the Crucible of Sin, the sword you're carrying for this moment, seems to augment what you're doing. It seems to know what you're doing and pushes your fear forward with more haste and power than before. You see the creature's eyes dart from Leandros to you as its tongue, its proboscis almost, protruding from its mouth, reaching for Leandros' neck, going for the killing blow. All of a sudden, its attention is drawn to you in an instant as you stand there, casting this spell, wishing its worst fear upon it. And all of a sudden, you see its eyes go very wide as it drops Leandros to the ground and steps away from you. It steps away as it seems afraid, a feeling that it is not used to. Whatever form you have taken in its eyes has caused it to forget of its objective, of that it is almost as if it is now being judged by something greater than itself, which is a terrifying thought.
Question.
Yes,
Can I
Cactus.
assist him? Can I assist him to like magnify his effect?
No. This again is not a round where you are seeing it happen. This is a moment.
Oh, okay.
As
I
I
tried to
said
help you.
before, this is a moment where you're seeing Creed raise the sword in his hand and the beast becomes afraid, dropping Leandros and stepping backwards, seeming to become shaken with the very thought of staying near him. At this moment, Zelly, you feel the barriers that are around the beast that you were burning through with your spell, slowly closing your cage. You feel those barriers thin. And you feel your metaphorical doors begin to close around it. But you fear that if it tries to run, that it will either get out of range or be able to regain its footing, and you'll lose your advantage to close the door on this monster, so to speak. Do you say anything to your party in this instant through your rings?
Let it rip, Sally.
Alright. I try to banish it.
Alright, so you go to close the door on it, finally, after seconds of forcing all of your might into the single action. It's fear gripping it and forcing it to become weak Leandros, having fallen to the ground, it's dazed from what had struck him. Creed standing in front of the monster, forcing it to take a step backwards, losing its focus. The wave of dread washing past and away from both Creed and Cactus. Their foresight and their mental focus returning to normal. As you stare down this creature that seems to know that it has lost and has no questions. As Cactus and Creed, and Nate as well, as you were close enough, you start to see this bars of energy start to appear around it and slowly encapsulate it, shrinking in size, pulling its arms and limbs closer and closer together, almost squeezing it, as you see Twazel in the back mimicking the same motion with her hands. And she goes to cast the final spell. And as she casts the final point, you see that it flexes back against the bars as you see Twazel begin to struggle. Another moment to decide the path in front of you. This time, it seems that Cactus has the moment. Cactus, you see an opening. Something that can change the fate of what you see. In your instant, in your second, you can see that it is struggling. And it is on the breaking point. If it gives itself any more power to push back, you believe that the spell will fail and all of your efforts will be for nothing, as it will be re-unleashed against you. And you know that you have one action, one moment to make a difference. What do you do?
Bestow curse.
Alright?
Zelly, what is your banish is off of charisma, or what does
Yes.
it say for banishment?
It's, I
And
want
you
to...
14 charisma.
Yes.
So it's making a charisma save.
Yes, it should be making a charisma save off of banishment. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Okay, then yeah, I am going to bestow curse, or I'm going to touch it and try to curse the fucking thing.
You can easily touch it, and you approach it as you see it struggling and to try and push back against the bars.
Just
What does it have to
breathe
roll
in
to do
necrotic
anything?
energy.
Does it have to roll anything to push back against your curse, or...
It does. It gets a wisdom save of 14. I am gonna barbs it if it succeeds, though. If I can.
It does
if I have time to
succeed.
do
You can try and barb it as you are close enough.
that. Yes.
Alright. And disadvantage.
Come on.
Oh, dice got stuck.
Dice, you fuck. Don't blue ball me, dice.
So it gets a 18 on its wisdom. And it seems to push back. Hold on. Did I roll that right? Hold on. One more. I missed the dice. Alright. So it rolled actually it actually rolled a point below your threshold. So it is cursed. So now that it is cursed, what happens to it?
I'm just gonna start pumping it full of necrotic energy to try to weaken its magic, basically, to help Zelly get her fucking banishment off.
Alright. Then we are going to roll disadvantage on it trying to save against the banishment. And you see that through your actions, you're seeming to sap what magic it has, what power it's trying to siphon from elsewhere beyond the world that you live in. And you can see the bars continuing to shrink once again as you see Twazel is putting all of her energy into it, and you can see that the bars continue to shrink, closing back in from where it began to flex. And you believe that it's working. And it starts to almost get pulled down and crunch smaller and smaller as the bars become a cage, as it is pushed into a box of sorts. And you see its head sticking out from between the magical bars that hold it for this banishment. Zelly, you can feel the veil starting to thin around the monster. You believe that you are very close to succeeding in your endeavor. But those of you that are close know that if you banish it outright, will it truly be the end you want, or do you wish to keep proof of its death? The words that pass through your heads, specifically Cactus, as you watch this happen, is that Leandro seems still out of it from his quarrel with the monster, the blood loss seeming to take a toll. And you just hear the words, "You keep what you kill," rattle through your head.
Do we have time to yell?
You have telepathy rings.
Okay. I'm gonna yell at Nate to cut off its fucking head.
Well, I don't really have any weapons that do the cutting thing.
I have
can-
a fucking scythe.
Just toss it to me midair as I'm fourth jumping up.
Yes. We're gonna badass this shit.
Man.
Alright,
Well, I'll give it a try if we got time.
It's, you guys can see that the veil is starting to thin. You feel from the thoughts of Twazel that the Banisher spell is close, it's on its final stages, that you have but a moment to try and take your trophy. And if you wish to go for the plan that you proposed, Nate, I will need an emphasis roll from you. 2 natural D20s, and then we will see what happens.
For, I guess, if it helps in any way, as I'm, like, rushing forward, I'd like to have my spiritual weapon, like, join with the scythe in the blow, like, at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Use your hammer as a fucking, like, you go to cut its fucking head, the hammer just whacks the scythe.
Yeah, dude. Oh, I need all the help I can get here. Okay, so 2 D20s?
Yes. We will see what happens. Let the dice
those are pretty
decide.
good. 17 and 14.
17 is farthest from 10 and gets you into an epic success range. So you see Nate run forward, the message received clearly, as Zarya stands by, the rifle in her arms, to make sure that if it does try anything funny, she will cast her final gun. Twazel closing the gate, slowly ripping open the veil with behind the creature, ready to throw it back into the ether from whence it came. Creed standing in front of it, ready to strike if necessary, the fear exuding from him like a thick mist. Cactus having hexed it and siphoning what energy and magic it can to weaken the monster. Leandros becoming an anticlimactic clown of sorts as he remains in the background. And you see Nate, Father Fly, the herald of Fiddler's Green, run forward, his stout dwarven legs carrying him across the marble floor, dropping his censer behind him, reaching his hand above his head as he runs, as you see Cactus reach behind his shoulders, pull forward the folded scythe made from the leaper's talon and throw it. You see Father Fly catch it in the air as he runs at full speed, pushing himself past his own limits, jumping at the creature with a stark yell echoing through the chamber. You see the spiritual weapon follow the cleric, speeding next to him almost as if the mighty hammer of Thor itself, coming up from the tiles and hitting the bottom of the head of the beast, almost as if preempting and anticipating the strike from the scythe. as you see Father Fly come down with all of his might, all of his will, the strength and determination to finally make his way home, taking that next step to get back to safety of his own life as the scythe comes down, and with a sickening squish and the slice ringing through the air, the metal singing in the scythe itself, you hear a heavy thump as the head falls to the ground and rolls away, as you see Twaza with a final push of her own energy close the cage completely, sickening crunching sounds coming from the body of the beast, as you see a tear in the veil behind it open, and it is flung through it, the scar closing in an instant, leaving behind nothing but a pile of ichor and a severed head that lay upon the ground, its eyes reflecting the last thing it saw, nothing but fear, in something that was deciding itself to become the perpetrator of that same emotion. A monster that preyed on the weak, on the sick, on the gullible, brought down by a group of heroes that have found themselves in its path. And as the room goes quiet, the head lay on the floor, all of you exhausted from this very short bout that took everything out of you and could have gone in a much more sinister direction if you had let it. You now stand in stunned silence, as your plan had worked.
Good fucking work, everybody. Buddy. I'm gonna go pick up the head.
You
I'm
pick up
trying
the
to think
head.
of that. I don't know if this is like kind of an obscure like image, and I can't find it. I've been looking, but you know that it's like an NBA basketball reference where the dude like he gives like the assist and then just like crosses his arms at the camera while the guy behind him is dunking it. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen that.
Yes,
but
yes.
that's like how I'm imagining that went down, and it was awesome. And then we just look over at Leandros and like, hey, good job. You're the boss now.
As you all stand, the adrenaline leaving your bodies, the exhaustion creeping into the heads behind you, clamoring in come the three other generals who heard the commotion and came running as they heard the loud screechings and the bellows from the monster. And they see Cactus holding the head of the beast in his arms. They see Leandros, alive and well, standing in the middle of the magic circle, covered in the ichor and his own fluids, being held up by Creed. They simply ask, what happened? Where did the War Master go? And Leandros, without a second's thought, turns and says, I never left.
So, I have a question.
Yes.
Before he says that, can Creed just shove a whole bunch of lay on hands into him so when he says
Yeah.
that he can stand upright?
Yeah. You can do it without them noticing because you're just like holding on to them, keeping them standing. You're like, haha, magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Emotional
He gets 25 points.
Yeah, you're
25 hit points.
you're fine. You can pump everything into him if you want, and so he's upright, and so he says, and he goes, I never left. And the generals, looking at all of you, looking at the mess that is on the floor, the head that is being held in the arms of the bard, they see the exhausted sorcerer, the tired ranger, and the stalwart fighters that stood around its body. They hesitate for a moment before they all drop to a knee and simply say, of course, War Master Leandros, we never doubted your death for a moment. And he simply nods and sends them out. And he turns to all of you as you can see that he still has issues standing, using his sword to help, almost as an impromptu crutch, as he sits on his throne and looks at all of you and simply states, I would have died again if it was not for your actions. You did not need to put yourselves in this danger, but you have now saved my life twice. I am indebted to you beyond words, as you did more than the commanders of my armies have ever done for me. I know you wish to go to the Western region to make your way back to where you started. You will have your army. You will have your weapons. That is the least that I can do for what you have succeeded in completing here. But I believe that, for now, we all must rest. For tomorrow, you will set sail and go back to where this began, and hopefully put an end to this war before it starts.
Does the Siege Boy have any kind of, what is he wearing? I know it sounds random, but I have a point, I promise.
He's
First
wearing...
instinct after killing this thing is to start looting the dead.
No. Just
he has... So, the Zeech General on him had pauldrons and a chest plate, but mostly had a blue and gold tunic with a cloak that went down his back that was blue and yellow striped, and on his hip were 2 different tomes that he carried with him. He didn't seem to carry any melee weapons, but he seemed to have a staff that had the sigil of Zeech on top of it.
Does he have any kind of, markers, insignias? Rank insignias?
I mean, the sigil on his breastplate.
Oh, fuck, it's painted on, isn't it?
No, it's on there. Like, it's an actual sigil that's, put on the chest plate, much to that of what Creed has. Kind of the same idea of how Creed's insignia is essentially a piece that attaches to the chest plate as almost like a brooch, but for the chest, for the actual armor itself.
Oh, it can come off.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna tear that off and throw it to Nate. And hold it up in front of Leandros, right, so he sees it, that I have it, and I'm gonna throw it to Nate.
Okay.
I catch it. I have no idea what this means, or what I do with this thing.
Since he's dead, you're gonna need someone to fill the slot, and he can do that. Because otherwise, you're gonna create a power. Otherwise, this dude's gonna have a whole power vacuum problem, and
Leandros waves it off and goes, that will not be necessary. I will not force someone to carry the rank of general in my forces if they are keen on leaving and trying to head back to where they hail from. That would be something that I would not force upon my own self, and so I will not force it upon him. I believe that what I've seen here is that the 4 houses of chaos seem to bring many interesting viewpoints into this military, but I believe that it is something that needs to be dealt with on its own terms. It needs to be encapsulated in its own terms. I will find someone to replace that general, but not before that I fix the broken world and the broken house that I have built here in desperation for a war with the gods. I believe to bring them to me to make an alliance. I look at it now as that I let them take too much where I should have pushed back and removed them from the idea. That is a burden that I must carry. I will not ask any of you to do so. You wished for safety, for an escort, for an army. You will have it. I will force nothing upon you past that. You have done more for me than anything else. But as I said before, I believe now it is time for you to rest, as I know soon this world will come to an end. And if anyone can stop it, from what I've seen, it is you five. I don't know if you will fully succeed, or maybe just slow it. Maybe you'll finally get that chance to go home. But whatever it is, I will give you that chance like you gave me. The chance to come back from this betrayal that has nearly taken my life. Go and prepare yourselves, heroes. For tomorrow morning, you shall leave here as heroes of this region, knighted in the halls of Ravenholm, to hopefully never return, and not in malice or malevolence, but hopefully that you don't return, for you find yourself a better home than here. And you see him bow to the five of you, his sword acting again as a support as he does so. And he in turn, in but a swift motion, knights the five of you as judicators of Ravenholm.
Oh shit, we got some rank.
Where you have earned your place among his highest ranking soldiers, and this will give you the ability to have those individuals follow you when you go across the sea. And once he is finished, once he's finished the ceremony, he sends you off to your suite to sleep, to rest. And that is where we will continue from there. And yes, Mandy, they do get the fate points, so they got 2 more.
I'm grabbing the Zinchi's general's body, or at least the staff.
Why? You're taking the staff with you?
Well, I'd like to take the books, or his books too, because Zinchi boys are really good spellcasters. Like that's their whole shtick.
You look through the tomes as you kneel down by the body, and the tomes are in a language you don't understand.
Bitch, I got tongues.
Not that many.
So
No, the spell tongues.
I'm aware of what spell you have.
Okay, fine. Not gonna bother trying. I'm just taking the staff then.
That's fine. You can take the staff, and you all take your leave.
I'm also gonna give Twazzle a hug on the way out.
Aw.
She did good. She gets a hug.
Twazo was the MVP.
As the only other dedicated cast there, I have to hug her.
Aw.
Alright, Blackbird, what you got?
Reed's gonna hang back and he's gonna tell them he'll be joining them shortly. Is Leandro still on his throne?
Yes. He seems tired, but he sits there.
Reed is going to approach.
You do so.
What Creed is going to do, he's going to drop to his knee
Alright.
and place his sword in front of him. And he's going to pledge his service in honor of the War Master Leandros of Ravenholm.
Leandros looks down at Creed as you all have left the room to go back to the suite. Creed being left alone with the War Master for the time being. He looks down at you from the stone throne, and he picks himself up leaving his sword behind as he tries to limp his way down, the pain still shooting through his body from what he's endured. And he picks up your sword, and he looks at you and goes, "A judicator does not need to kneel in front of your war master. You, Creed, have done much, and I can tell that you have learned much about yourself, your history, and what lays ahead. I will ask you to rise, but no longer as a judicator." And he puts the sword and taps you on the shoulder on either, and then holds it back in front of you. "No longer as a judicator. You have earned your place, Watch Commander. You will take your post, and you will take command of the forces that are here, my soldiers that require training, not those that lay within the deity's grasp of the four houses, but my own, the farmers, the average people who live here, who wish to fight for a better world, for a better place for them to live in, something that we are trying to make sure survives whatever comes. You will be one of their commanders. You will be a beacon in the darkness for them. For we in Ravenholm fight within the darkness so that those can live in the light. You will be one of those lights. I know you say this with a heavy heart, Creed. I know where your loyalties once lied and where your history has taken you. You have grown into someone that I am proud to have fought with, to have been saved by, and I know that those that you travel with love you deeply, as a brother in arms and as well as a companion. I'm honored that you wish to join the ranks of those that serve here, and we will be happy to have you become a part of Ravenholm. Now rise, Watch Commander, and go take your rest. You have more than earned it."
Thank you. He's like holding back tears. You've proven that my loyalty and duty are honored. And I can't put into words quite how much that means.
The beautiful thing is, you do not need to. Your actions have and will speak louder than any words that you bring forward. Now, your family needs you. Go to them.
Horse War Master.
He nods solemnly and walks back up to his throne, sitting back down as he ushers for his servants to come, and so he can summon the captains and such to go forth and speak to them. And you exit, and you make your way back to the suite. As you are leaving the throne room, you are stopped by one of the retainers, who gives you a collared cloak to wear and a sigil to attach to your chest armor, both bearing the colors of the castle that you stand in, the collar being of copper and gold, laying behind you a thick blue velvet cloak that wraps you tightly and is well balanced, with pauldrons that come off the side, chains attaching them, decorated with what seem to be sigils of medals and combat valor. very much identical to the ones that you used to wear. And once he gives you this symbol of status, he simply nods to you and walks away back into the throne room. And you find yourself back at the suite.
Creed's just gonna walk in like nothing's changed at all.
You all see Creed enter.
Because we totally don't notice the new threads.
You notice him holding the cloak in his arms as he walks in. His face flat of expression. But you all are just sitting in the suite recovering as your bodies catch up with the activities that you've spent the last few hours trying to do to essentially reestablish a correct commander on the throne of this keep, to make sure that everything is where it should be. And you find yourself at a moment of peace.
Creed. If you're gonna do some shit like that, you should have said something beforehand. I'd have thrown it to you instead. I'm sure you would have made a fine general. Once you get some confidence in yourself, that is.
I wouldn't quite consider myself general. This is far more than I was expecting.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. No leader worthy of having power wants it.
There's another issue with that thing. I may have proven myself to Leandros, the War Master. To his men, I'm still an outsider.
You will in time. Tell you what. Of all the I'm sure Nate will back this up. The worst thing you can do is just come in like big dick swinging, like acting like you know everything under the fucking sun, right? The best way to get the respect and trust of your troops is to just be honest with them. If you don't know something, say it. Because there's not a goddamn thing I hated more than a brand new lieutenant who didn't know what the fuck he was doing, but pretended to.
There was something written in one of the captain's quarters in the Glass Keep that I think of. Octa non verda.
Octa non verba.
Told me it meant actions, not words.
That is correct. Though I'm curious how the Glass Keep got that, because that comes from Latin, from our world.
I couldn't speak to that. I tend to allow our actions, to including when we part ways. Speak for me.
See, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just have some confidence in yourself. You'll be alright. Now, you got any of that fucking liquor stashed? Or did you drink it all on that night, and that night you got pissed?
I drank a fair amount. However, and Creed will, like, reach onto his belt and just, like, whip a flask at you. I kept some on me. Excuse me, however. I'm gonna go lay down.
Yeah, I need a nap.
I need a bath.
You all take the night to bathe, to sleep, to drink, to dream. And for once in your months of being here, you all have actual dreams, where before it was mostly a void between sleeping and waking up the next day to do the same thing once again. Cactus, you dream of your home, of your family, of your pets. You dream of how they may be missing you, of how scared they are, reaffirming your want to go home. Father Fly and Zarya, you two have the same. You dream of how you've been missed and how you miss the world that you left against your will and through the fates have been pulled into a conflict much larger than yourself. But something peculiar circles near the end of your dream. That it is an image of you getting home sooner than you believed. Of Twazel, you dream of the veil that you ripped. You dream of the power that you've grown into, the skills that you have sharpened, the abilities you've honed, and how you have become beneficial to the group you have found yourself with, even though you met them through chance, through sheer luck when they found themselves in the prison in Head Thunder. You find yourself in the idea of that you can achieve so much more if you continue working with them. Almost as if a phrase echoes through your mind of that bone sharpens bone, much as steel sharpens steel. And Creed, you dream as well. Though it starts in a dark place, fears and doubts circling your mind, it's cleared, like the sun beating through an overclouded sky. And it becomes one of pride, of happiness, of a feeling of complacency in success, of accomplishment, of things to come and things that have happened, of that how your world and your view of it has changed, and how you find yourself where you were once in conflict with who you were and what you had become. You now know who you are. You know what you are good at. You know what you are worth. And that revelation puts you at ease. And that you now have found who you truly are. And then you are all awakened by the sounds of birds and the sounds of drills being run outside, physical training and the like. As the sun has creeped up over the hills of Ravenholm, the light reflecting off the snow-capped mountains, coming through the window, through the curtains ever gently, waking you to the morning of the next day.
ET 0600, I do not miss that. I'll go back to bed. Sleep it in.
You all slumber for a bit as the light and the sounds of the world around you echo and move through the walls. You are awakened by a soft knocking at the door. A voice coming past it, simply saying, "I apologize for the intrusion. Watch Commander Creed, are you awake, sir?"
Sorry, I muted while I was chewing. Why is no one responding? I'm awake. What is the issue?
The forces are ready to depart when you are, sir.
Of course. Give me time to rouse the rest of my associates, and we shall be outside.
Of course, sir, I will let the War Master know. And you hear footsteps as whoever it was walks away.
Oh. Well, what time is it? No, he does know I have a feat for that.
Yeah, it'd probably be 07:30.
Wonderful. So, I'm sure I've asked. How are our quarters laid out? Are they like one, like, gathering
It's-
area and then separate rooms off the side?
Basically, yeah.
He's going to go and he's going to very quietly. He's going to go and grab his shield. He's going to grab his sword. He's going to go to the main room, and he's just going to start pounding the top of his shield with his sword to wake everyone up.
You are all
On your
roused.
feet! Let's go!
You are all roused by loud banging of a sword on shield as you all exit your rooms to see a fully dressed in armor and cloak Creed, sword and shield in hand, looking as chipper as ever, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and just yelling, "Let's go! It is time to move!"
No, as soon as they come out, oh, it's wonderful for all of you to be awakened. Glad to see it. Everyone else is awaiting us outside. Get your gear. We shall leave.
I have gun. Don't do that again.
Creed, I will literally. Creed, if you wake me up like that, I love you, but I will literally blow both your balls off.
There is a reason for you to be happy.
I'm quite sure there is, but I have neither coffee nor nicotine in my body, and you woke me up like that.
I'm not quite certain what either of those are. We do have plenty of. What would be the D&D equivalent of tobacco? What did you
Tobacco.
Oh, tobacco. Yeah, we have
Just
tobacco. You
tobacco,
know what
yeah.
nicotine is.
Yeah, it's essentially the same thing. It probably has a different name to it, like how 40K has Nick Sticks and Recaf.
Oh, I was gonna speak. Not quite sure what those are. We do have plenty of morning drinks full of energy, and we have things for you to smoke if that's what you prefer. And the very good news, and he'll smile directly at you, Cactus. As the Watch Commander, I can requisition as much as I want.
Forgive me.
No.
Your testicles are safe.
If you want a keg full of, if you said coffee, well, I can requisition a full one.
No,
And
I
some
don't.
poor bastard will have to fill it up.
I don't need a keg of coffee. I just need like 3 cups. Just get me a mug of coffee.
What I can do.
And probably something for Nate too, because officers.
He's putting him down.
Yeah,
But
so
yeah, he could.
so you all
I imagine Nate's like me. He doesn't function with coffee in the morning. Zarya, please confirm.
I assume
Confirm
there's
or
some
deny.
sort of attendant outside. He's gonna have them run, get everyone, whatever the equivalent of coffee is.
I mean, you guys basically get yourselves dressed and ready to go, and you go outside to the chariot where there is a table set up with coffee and breakfast foods and stuff for basically the force that is assembling, getting ready to march out. And when you guys exit out into the courtyard of Ravenholm, you see the size of the detachment that is coming with you, and it is massive. And Leandros, of course, is out there working with who he can. You see that he has a makeshift brace on his leg, on his right leg, from where it was injured during his bout and his time in the prison. but he is out there running and moving with his soldiers and getting them ready. You can see a number of what would be the equivalent of APCs and tanks getting loaded, trucks being loaded with supplies and personnel. You see 4 knights, their pilots standing by as they're getting their systems checked and ready to go. You see hundreds of soldiers grabbing their gear, checking their armaments, doing their physical checks, their morning PT, and then loading into the trucks. And as Leandro sees you, he smiles a very large grin. And he just waves his arm out and goes, "This isn't impressive, is it? These are all volunteers from the army."
Create a laugh and respond. Seems to me that the volunteers always come from the leaders of volunteering men. I'll say with like a half smirk.
No. These are all soldiers of the Corps that heard of your deeds and what you were planning to do, and they volunteered for the assignment. And this isn't even half of them. The other half of the force is waiting for you on the western side of this region, preparing the craft necessary to leave and go across the ocean.
That's a big goddamn force.
They all heard of who you were and what you did to save me, and they believe that this is the best course of action if they are to save the people that are underneath the threat of the gods. You have inspired more than what I could have done in my years. It is impressive. And as I said before, I'm indebted to what you have done here. You have done what I deemed impossible. But here we stand, ready and willing.
So, how would I go about getting one of them knights?
I don't think he's just gonna let you have a night.
I'm still asking.
Well, we'd have to put you through the training process to become a pilot, and then it would take a number of years to get you one built and trained on it. It would be a long and tedious process, much longer than we have to get you across the great ocean.
Okay. Do we have time to get some weapons on the chariot?
He gives you a furrowed brow as he looks at you and goes, Did you not? Come with me. And he walks over to the chariot, kind of ushering you along. He goes, did you not realize that there are weapons on this vehicle?
I see none, and when I was connected to it, I felt none.
Oh.
He goes, this technology is very similar to what we currently use. He goes, sometimes when we build machines, we put fail-safes in place to make sure that certain things don't activate until necessary. He goes, let me try something. Can you step into the seat and connect to this machine?
I fucking... Why not?
He goes, wonderful. And you see him whistle at one of the pilots of the knights. And the pilot nods and gets into the knight, and it steps out of the cradle and starts moving forward a little bit and turns towards the chariot. And he goes, I believe that there are fail-safes on that vehicle that you need to be threatened. So, here's your threat. And he points at the knight as you see one of its cannons come to bear, point at the chariot. He goes, I hope you're ready, Cactus.
Oh, hey, now hold the fuck up now.
and you see the cannon fire a stream of blue, what looks to be plasma, at the chariot. And as the beam comes at you, you all of a sudden see red symbols pop up all over the screens in your head and in your eyes as the chariot all of a sudden you feel your psyche, your mind meld further with it, reaching all the way to its exterior plating as all these systems become alive and connect to you. You feel the plating shift and prepare to redirect the blast. You feel energy start to crackle from in between the seams. You feel pieces of you, weapons, come online and begin to emerge from within the monster as a cannon comes out of the top and aims at the knight. Canisters on the side that seem to carry these projectiles of some form pop out of the sides of the chariot as well as the plating shifts to redirect the blast and the energy comes forward and dissipates the plasma, almost absorbing it back into the engine of the chariot. As this happens in an instant, the heat dissipating into the plating and the shielding that came up out of almost instinct on your part. As Leandros waves off to the knight, as the knight slowly backs itself back up into the cradle, as you see the cannon slowly track the knight's movement until it deems it no longer a threat. You feel a little feeling in the back of your head, almost as if a second set of eyes is watching. As you feel the presence of that threat dissipate, and the cannon recedes back into the chassis as it reverts back to what it looked like before.
I'm going to keep a very strong mental note of exactly what that shit was, where it was, and how best to fucking use them.
Now that they've been activated, you can feel their presence. And after a few moments of trying, you can cause them to activate on your own accord.
You done fucked up now.
And Leandros comes over to the hatch and goes, "Are you all right, Cactus?"
Perfectly fine.
Wonderful. We couldn't find one function built into this machine, as the parts of it seem that it would have this function, but we're not entirely sure if it actually works. You'll have to find it eventually, but we're not sure what it does, or where it is. But it seems to be a final piece of the puzzle, if you will, is inside this machine of yours. Hopefully, it appears when you need it most. That would be for the best.
That it would. I could definitely have used this when we were being shot at by bandits.
I
Something
imagine.
Like that. And, I'm pretty sure that cannon would have taught him a fucking thing or two.
It is impressive armaments. And I feel like this will be the tip of the spear to get you across the great ocean. But enough of the demonstrations. Let's go ahead and get you loaded into your vehicle. I believe the troops are ready to go. And so you all load up. As you all saw the demonstration against the chariot, the plasma being fired at it, and then being essentially reabsorbed back into the engine. The fires that bellow within the exhaust pipes becoming larger and more intense in a moment, and then returning to normal. The plating still sizzling hot from the impact, but relatively unscathed. And you load yourselves into the chariot once again. Supplies and such given, ammunition given, provisions that were needed given. And you go. You make a large convoy that leaves Ravenholm and travels to where you go across the great ocean. You travel for a few hours from Ravenholm to Westminster. Once you finally arrive, You see that Leandros was not joking about the size of the force that has volunteered to go with you across the great ocean. When you get there, you see more knights patrolling around Westminster, all seeming to move towards the harbor on its southwestern side. You see more trucks coming in from the directions of Thurble and the Broken Talon. You see APCs and tanks and such rolling in, a few more than what you currently have in your convoy. Ahead of you, in the harbor itself, as you roll through Westminster and you come up to it, you can see large metal craft that are being loaded with these vehicles and the knights themselves. Those knights taking positions towards the front, acting as large stationary turrets for the approach. These landing craft seem to be large and able to carry a majority of the forces. There seem to be 5 of them perched in the harbor waiting to be loaded. In the ocean you see a singular ship. Not one of much magnitude or size, but it's impressive regardless, as it seems to be cast of metal with weapons on it that seem to belch fire and smoke with every movement. You are told that the ship will be part of the escort, as it is a prototype of what they are trying to design to help seal off the ocean ways leading to the region if all else is to fail. And once everything begins to load, the chariot's the last to be brought down to the harbor. You don't feel being on the landing craft is necessary, as you know the chariot is amphibious and can travel just as fast as it can normally. You tell the loadmasters not to worry as you prepare yourselves for the journey, and you take a quick count of what you have with you. You see between the 5 vessels, you have about 9 knights spread amongst all of them. You have something to the tune of 400 to 600 troopers of all specialists in weaponry that they could use. They have 9 to 10 trucks, about 6-ish APCs, and the same number of tanks. All the crew standing by and ready to go at a moment's notice. As you prepare, the last few things being loaded and the last few things being set up, the turrets being armed and rotated and the engines being checked, you look across the great ocean and you see what has been blinded to you for the last few months. You see across that 2 of the colossi have fallen.
Oh shit, 2 of them actually died. Which one were they?
Was Thor and Callie.
Okay, not great, not great. Could be better.
You see that 2 of the colossi are broken at the hips and have fallen into the ocean. Along the shores of the western region, you see swarms of creatures that patrol the shores. From this distance, you can't make out what exactly is over there, but you can tell that there isn't as much pillaging as one imagined. You don't see great pillars of smoke or great fields of flame. You just see what looks to be patrols along the horizon, giving you a sense of hope that maybe this will be something of manageable magnitude to take on. And the one thought that echoes through your head is that if 2 of the colossi have fallen, that means that the gods can be killed. And it seems to be in your place to do so.
I mean, with enough 155s, anything can be killed.
And so the last question they ask you before they load the vessels and prepare to go across, they ask you, Where should we aim to land?
Nate, that's your call, dude. It's way above my rank.
He's upstairs, so you gotta do it.
Oof.
Ah, the fuck I will.
Voluntold.
Bro, I'm a sergeant. I don't make choices like this. This is some general shit.
They're basically asking you, as the reason they're here, the reason that they've been assembled and volunteered to push you across the great ocean, of where is your first objective? And you have a couple of choices. You can either go back down to the Broken Spire and use that as a landing point. You can go directly west and land near Dunmarron and try to set up a fortification there. Or you can take the riskiest approach and try to take back the Glass Keep.
Random side note. Head Thunder was the place we first landed at, wasn't it?
Yes, that was where you first arrived.
Cool. We need to go. We need to kill them at some point. We need to burn that city before we leave.
You mean the city you fixed? You mean the city where the guard captain that killed you the first time was hanged? That city?
Oh yeah, fair. Okay. I forgot we hanged him.
You didn't. The Duke did.
Sorry, not hanged. Hung. I forgot he was hung.
The Duke did it. Because
was
he saw
hung.
him as... Whatever. So yeah, you have those three choices. You could try making to Trawler's Bay to get to Head Thunder, but it would be significantly riskier because you have to go underneath the Great Bridge.
I'm thinking like we could go this way and retake the Blackstone Keep, but the problem is like any way we go, it's not this way. It's not here or here. Is like really bad logistically. Like
To point out, I'm not in much of a rush to go back to the Glass Keep. But you'll need her guns.
Gun.
Yes, gun.
Gun. I have gun.
Zarya's like, yes, gun. I have gun,
I know
gun,
that
good.
word.
I know that word. I wish
Don't
Zarya
help
could
you.
be. I wish there was a way I could strap Zarya into this bitch, so she can play with the gun.
Gun go pew.
So she gets big ass fucking gun.
I mean, I could certainly try.
So he doesn't want to go back to the Glass Keep. However, the Glass Keep would make a really good launching point.
It also has a large amount of heavy artillery, much like Jericho.
That it does. But by the same token, we also have the greatest of our strength. This is the start of the campaign, and we have most of our strength right now.
I'd also rather not replicate the song, but in fucking medieval times. Just one more wave. The last 32 didn't make it. Don't
What?
worry, though. This one, sure to take it.
Over the top, gentlemen.
One more time. One more time, lads. Ironically, I think this does come down to we actually need the officer. My gut instinct thinks that, well... Alright, so two of them are dead. I don't suppose one of them tripped and drowned in the swamp south of Fulcar. I'd be phenomenally lucky, but... Shortest trip gives us the best amount of options. So that'd be west towards Dunmarlin. That gives us the option to take the Great Bridge south to Glass Keep, but well, actually, I can I check my knowledge of the Glass Keep?
Sure. What are you trying to check?
I want to know what they're prepared against.
So, just in your general knowledge, so without you having to roll, you know that the Glass Keep has 3 major walls that block it off from the outside. And in the center is the main citadel in the main city. The main citadel has a majority of firepower on it, but all the walls have their own plethora of howitzers and cannons and the like. You know that the Glass Keep can only be reached by 2 pathways by land, which is either through Brecker's Pass or the Great Bridge, both of which are phenomenal choke points. It is located deep within the glass sands, which means that it's hard to get there by air, as many don't have it unless you have wings, and by the sea, again, not much of it, as due to their cannon fire that the Glass Keep can put out, it can defend itself relatively well from any shore incursions. But that's also if it was operating at full strength and not currently under fire from something else. So you know that if you were to have to breach the Glass Keep to either take it back or keep it from falling, you'd have a lot of ground to cover, and you would need a large force to push in and take it back from whatever has taken it from you, or if it is under fire to defend it.
Which I'll relay all that, which
What do we know about Watcher's Rest? 'Cause I don't think we've ever been there.
You know that you passed it on your way in to go to find the Kingslayer. You know that it's a relatively large keep. It's not anything to really shout home about. It's smaller than Ravenholm, and it's about the same size as the Broken Talon and Jericho Keep. It's essentially meant to be a defense point for naval and land engagements on that side of the region, and is meant to be a large military distribution point, so if there's any issues on the other regions, they could easily leave from Watcher's Rest to go elsewhere.
it's literally just a big QRF base.
Basically.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry.
You're
We're talking strategy of places we can hit.
Okay. All right.
Basically, they got asked.
What's been discussed now, and I can.
So, Nate, they
War game
basically
with you?
got asked by the loadmasters, as well as the drivers of the crafts, as well as the commanders on deck, of where you would want to put your beachhead. Basically, because you are in landing craft, you're going to have to find a spot to put her down. The current force you have is 5 very large landing craft that has 9 tanks, 8 APCs, 10 trucks, 600 soldiers, and 9 knights.
And okay, I mean, just that information right there. My initial thought is, I mean, so I heard Creed ask about the Glass Keep and the knowledge about that. I didn't hear the answer. What was the response to
The glass
regular defenses and all that kind of stuff, and
The Glass
feasibility
Keep.
of that?
The Glass Keep is a large fortress city. It has 3 layers to it that block it from the outside approach. It has multiple cannons of both anti-naval as well as ground forced. As it only has 2 approaches from land, which is either the Great Bridge or Brecker's Pass. And it is located in a certain point of the glass sands where it makes it difficult to approach it by land without being seen. And so to approach it to try and get into it as if you were to breach it would be difficult, but you need a very large force to do it, which you happen to have. But that's also to say, if it was at its tip-top condition and not currently under siege by whatever the hell is over there. And so if you were to take it back, you'd probably be fighting a quarter strength or half strength fortress. Uh, or if you got there and they're currently still under siege from other forces, you could assist, and you'd have to try and defend it from inside the walls and use that as a foothold to go into the rest of the region.
Yeah, my thought there is like, again, it's a fortress that's easily defensible. It's in obviously key terrain, and it's like pretty isolated, and so like we would be able to hold it if we got it. Obviously, that makes it harder to attack, but we're attacked from the water, which it's meant to probably defend from attacks through Bracken's Pass and the Great Bridge.
Knowledge is that Bracken's Pass and the Great Bridge are the major choke points. The problem with doing it doing an amphibious assault towards the Glass Keep is that's basically nothing but open desert the entire way to the keep. The guns could shell us the entire way.
Yeah, that's a problem. I guess the other option would be avoid the Glass Keep altogether and go up in like the north, beachhead up here, land assault through Dunmarn and Folkar, and then south into Head Thunder.
Yeah. Basically, your three choices were the Broken Spire, the Glass Keep, and Dunmarn as your beachheads.
A question for you, Grim.
Yes.
You have radios, right?
I mean, you guys have telepathy. They have essentially basic radios, yeah.
What kind of range are we looking at on these radios?
Probably the larger transponders, you're probably looking at 15 clicks. Like the ones
puts
on the
them
boats.
well out. That puts them well outside of the range of those guns. We could, in theory, we could, in theory, infiltrate the keep, take out the large guns that are facing the water, and open up the path for them to actually land. Infiltration is something I can do quite easily. I can literally teleport.
Yeah, the problem is though it would be just you.
Because the Glass Keep is a massive fortress city. Like, it's the biggest thing you've seen in the entire region.
Oh, I know, but that makes it easier to infiltrate,
like,
too.
If you took New York City and you mixed it with Los Angeles and put 3 walls, the equivalent of the city in between each, and saying I can infiltrate it by myself. Like,
could you? Yes.
Yeah, but
is it a great idea?
We would have a targeted goal if we did an infiltration. Like, if it was just us, we advance party into the Glass Keep, disable the guns, happy walk the rest of the army in.
That's the plan. Like, we're not there to. We ourselves are not there to take the city. We're just there to
target it, disable guns, or even like a few guns.
Yeah, just enough to tip the scale of the invasion.
The reason I'm worried about it is from the aspect that no matter which way we go, we have a lot of bodies. We have to try and make sure no one spots until we're in the position to knock out the guns.
Well, see, that's why you leave taking care of the bodies to me.
So, the other big thing that you guys are assuming is that it's going to be hostile towards you. You don't know the status of the Glass Keep. The only thing you know of the status completely is that Jericho and St. Joanna got wiped off the face of the map.
Well, I'm willing to bet it's not going to be a great reception. Because, they tried to kill us, and we kind of took Osama bin Laden with us, and just dipped, so...
The other thing is that after that whole thing happened, you guys went to the Broken Spire, and then the gods showed up. So who's to really say of what exactly is going on, or what would be happening to them? So if you guys want to advance yourselves forward, and
circumstantial at best.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray area right now because of just where you are in the situation. So you guys could just do an advance party with the chariot and radio back to the rest of the landing group if it seems applicable, or go in and turn off the guns. Or you could just land at Dunmar and work your way down, or even land at the Broken Spire and work your way from south to north. It's
Okay. Question, I guess, for the group here. We could land the mass at Dunmar and send either envoys or spies or something to the Glass Keep and get a feel for their allegiance, or like, hey, look, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. In this instance, where if we don't defeat these Titan things, then we're all dead anyways. And so, like, let's team up for now. And then we have two strongholds in Dunmar and in the north, and in the Glass Keep in the south. Thoughts?
It's the best plan we've got so far.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with landing at Dump. If we're gonna send out scouts, we should also send out scouts to Watcher's Rest and to Folkmar. Or sorry, and the Broken Spire. So though, like, Watcher's Rest, Broken Spire, Glass Keep, Folkmar.
The problem is we still have only have so much range, I guess is the right way of putting that.
You also don't believe, from where you stand, the Watcher's Rest is under any threat or would be of any use at this point.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, if you guys want to land in Dunmar and have that be your foothold, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best bet.
No matter what we do, we can leave a good enough force there to just dig in.
Also, we're like folk heroes in Folkar. We saved them from the big spider thing,
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
there's
so they
Well,
like
we're
us
also
there.
We're also heroes in Head Thunder too, so we can get them on our side.
And Calder, we have like
Yeah,
Yeah.
We could probably triple the size of this army.
It's almost as if you guys have a reputation. Weird, right?
And gun.
And Zarya with and gun. So yeah, so you
should
guys
help
choose.
us.
Wait a minute, hang on.
Join us. Help us fight these
That's
demons.
it.
Join us. Zarya, do it or I'll put a bullet in your head.
No. That's all
Zarya's
the
a fucking commissar.
Cactus.
Cactus, shut up. That's it. That solves the problem. Because you know what was sent to Folkar after we left? A detachment of Glass Keep soldiers.
That's true. That's true.
And, so this is another question regarding my knowledge of Glass Keep, or Creed's knowledge.
Yes.
Does the Glass Keep routinely rotate soldiers?
They try to.
Or they deploy a unit and they're basically there until they're pulled out?
They try to do rotations, but most of the time, because since it's localized, you're basically stationed there until you're no longer needed.
Perfect. If all else fails, what we now have is we have a section of Glass Keep soldiers who only know of us as heroes. If absolutely all else fails, we have trained, competent soldiers we can pull into the army with recent knowledge of not only the area, but recent events on this continent.
Someone
So
ate
if-
their Wheaties this morning.
So if we deploy to Dunmarin, we set up basically a MOB. We have them fortify the ever-living hell out of this town. We can dispatch combat forces south of the Great Bridge, hold the northern portion, punch down us, or just have them hold the bridge. More than anything, if something's going to come from the keep and try to keep killing or taking stuff over, they're going to come across the bridge. We send a blocking force there. We can either shift or send forces to Folkar in our name. Specifically using me if all else fails, because I'm still technically a Knight Sergeant. Creed's still technically Knight Sergeant of the Glass Keep. Do that. Tell them, hey, we are here to help. We need information. We need your assistance. Continue to spread forces throughout. In addition to that, you have more bodies to help move heavier equipment. So we can spread out and possibly set up small fire bases between Folkar, Head Thunder, and Cauldry, give interlocking fields of fire for the artillery guns. If we are going to push down the Glass Keep, we can infiltrate and or do what we can to take out whatever attempting to overthrow it. Then we get guns all across this half of the continent, interlocking fields of fire. We can draw the gods past them, possibly towards Trawler's Bay, mostly travelers, and then basically just bog them down and pound the ever-living hell out of them with artillery. How's that?
I like it. That's a good plan.
Fucking solid plan to me.
So with that, you set off to Dunmarn. With the last vehicle loaded and the last personnel accounted for, your plan in place, and your thoughts put forward, the landing craft take off, the chariot dumping into the water behind it, keeping pace with the large vessels. After an hour of crossing the ocean, thankfully the strait between the two regions being thinner, you begin to come under fire from the creatures that patrol the shore. Easily returned by the knights and the tanks that have been stationed as turrets for the landing craft on your approach, the tracers from these rounds, the magic that they're imbued with, screeching through the sky as the sun has started to go down. With minimal casualties, if only a few or maybe some insignificant damage, you land in Dunmarn. The chariot coming out of the water, the landing craft hitting the beach, the ramps dropping with echoing thuds as your force deploys. And as you approach Dunmarn, you see that it looks relatively unscathed, though the people seem perplexing. Your forces arrive and establish a foothold. They do as you say, sending some tanks, a couple of knights, and some infantry down to hold the Great Bridge. You send another force to Fulkar. And then as you and the rest of the force, a force of 400 men strong with 5 knights, an assembly of tanks and APCs, march towards Dunmarn. And you establish contact. You find that Dunmarn has been left alone as the population was lower, and the gods seemed uninterested in who they were. And so they've been left to their own devices, simply being a farming town with nothing much to give. They have been working underneath threat from the creatures that fly through the sky underneath the command of the gods themselves. But they seem happy to see you. They know of you, they know of your deeds, and they know that you have done something beyond all capabilities to come back to help those that need it. And you gain some knowledge of the surrounding area and what has gone on, as messages have been run between cities as best they can, and rumors have carried themselves as well. They confirm that both Thor and Kali were killed in battle, from what it sounds like, over a conflict with some of the other gods over the fortification of Cauldry. And they tell you of where the gods currently are and who is fighting over what. They tell you that Balder and Shiva are currently fighting over control of Cauldry. They tell you that Athena stands in Fulkar and Ares in Headthunder. They tell you that Aran stands in St. Roderick, her influence helping those that have died to the swamp. And finally, that Crom, being another god of war, has begun to lay siege against the Glass Keep, for he wishes it to be his prize in this region. And so you gain this knowledge, and you set up a foothold. You begin to dig in and establish yourselves as a force in this region, preparing yourself for the fight that comes ahead. You know that any of these combats are going to be detrimental. They're going to be difficult. They're going to take energy out of you and your forces, and it's going to take work to try and reestablish an area here. And it seems that you've cleared out at least some of the patrols on the shore, and you have made sure that your presence is not fully well known as of yet. You begin to reinforce yourselves. And a few hours go by as you stand in Dunmarn, planning, thinking, and working. Until an arrow is brought to you with a scroll wrapped around it. It is a golden arrow of exquisite craftsmanship. The scroll tied with a thin red ribbon. As you undo the ribbon and you read the scroll, it is a threat from Athena that she does not know who you are or who you serve, but that anything to approach her territory will result in her fighting you. And that if you wish to meet her to show who is the strongest of the two, she welcomes it. And as you look across the horizon, you see a glint in the sky against the sun as it sets. Or in this case, as it rises. Among the sky, you see the shape of hundreds of arrows being launched from Folkar to Dunmar. In the last instant, the only words that can be heard is to cover and to brace, as the arrows begin to rip through the structures, the plating, and the people that live in Dunmar. Innocents slain for no reason other than the enjoyment of the fight by the gods that have now deemed you a threat. And as the arrows stop falling, the casualties checked. Thankfully, most of your forces were only minorly injured. Being in their vehicles or in their structures, they are relatively safe. Being the smart commanders you are and the smart soldiers they are, that their cover was sufficient for the situation at hand. But now you know who you are dealing with. And you stare across the horizon towards Folkar, pillars of smoke rising up into the sky. That you believe now is the time for war, and that the gods may have been dead and they may have hated you, but it is time to see if a god can truly bleed. And that is where we end our session.
Oh my goodness.
Solid ending.
Pretty good.
Oh, we're gonna go do the thing.
We can go do the thing.
I already got my one-liner.
What do you have?
We're gonna let's find out if gods can feel fear.
I am somewhat disappointed. I did cast that fear spell. I wish I could have actually said something. But it wouldn't have worked because someone made sure you couldn't say anything in there.
Well, you wouldn't have been affected because it was a friendly spell.
Oh, I could have cast. How do you say that word? Hang on. Thaumaturgy?
Thaumaturgy, yeah.
Where your voice booms up to 3 times as loud.
Right.
I would have loved to have screamed at that thing. How does it feel to know fear? Oh, God. That
So,
was great.
Hey,
Yeah.
fear is my shtick.
so let's do a little background, and then we'll go into favorite moments. So Blackburn, the thing that you became that it feared was the essentially the presence of the hive mind, essentially. That it had been severed for so long that it feared its reconnection because it would be judged for being essentially a waste. And so you became essentially the fear of being turned into goop again and being recycled.
What I guessed, based off the way you're describing it, I was thinking it was. When did that come out? It was from the Next Generation with Hugh, where he's talking with Picard and he says, "I am Hugh." It's the fact that so long being cut off, it was identifying itself, not being part of the hive.
Right.
So that's a hell of a thing to have to give up.
Yeah. But yeah, so let's go over some favorite moments from that session because that was a banger. There was a lot of shit that happened today. So we'll start with Cactus.
Nate cut off the head of a fucking demon.
That was pretty good.
I
All right. Blackburn, what you got?
I was actually I had to I had to mute my microphone and blow my nose and wipe my eyes. Again, you made me feel emotions. The whole emotion.
Good.
That was. I would say that. Oh, also, by the way, I know you technically ended it. I have to give you a wisdom save.
Okay.
Okay, cool. I passed it. Sweet. I was looking at I was looking at the sword, and it says I need to give a wisdom save of DC 14, otherwise nightmares seep into my mind.
Yes, when you're
So-
doing your attuning. Your attunement.
It just says I need to spend a long rest in contact with the weapon, which we did.
Yep.
So-
Which is that's basically how if you're going to attune is you spend a long rest and basically the nightmares are a caveat to it. But yeah,
I was like, that's a bit of a problem. So,
a little bit.
Oh. Making me cry was probably my favorite moment.
Oh. And which one was that? Was that when you were standing in front of the War Master?
Yeah, I got a lot more than promoted.
Yeah.
That got me. I'm not gonna lie.
Awesome.
I got created.
Zara, what was your favorite moment? Don't say gun.
Yeah, well, in my two nat 20s, like, in a row, it's hard to beat that one.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Doing
400 damage in like 2 seconds.
yeah.
What,
Yeah,
what was it? Like all total was like
200 damage.
yeah, all total was like what 130
So
some shit like that.
her two set of attacks with the criticals were 183 damage. The issue is that gets halved because he's technically a fiend.
That's not the point.
I know, but that's why he was still standing even though you did just an absolute absurd amount of damage into that guy. Also, that was a CR9 creature, by the way,
Oh, love it.
which I should have put minions on the board, but I was like, nah, I want to see what they do. I want to see what happens, what goes on.
What done do the thing?
What done do the thing? Father Fly.
I think it was I think we all just like worked really well together in that fight. With like, all right, hey, we're protecting Zelly while she does her magic thing, and it was pretty well executed, I think. Without too much, outside things happening, we just used our skills and stuff. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, it was really good. Alright, and Zelly?
I like squishing him back into the portal there, having his organs just like pop
Just the nice squish as you shove them back into the
squish.
veil. Yeah, it was very well done. You all did a fantabulous job. Very good. Very good. Alright, so with that, my favorite moments was definitely that whole fight scene because I wasn't sure what you guys were going to do, and you surprised me, and I was very happy to see it. And then being able to have those roleplay moments with you guys, with the War Master and Creed, and then basically being like, hey, yeah, here's your force. You guys now have to play Army Simulator to basically figure out how you're going to approach this region that is infested with monsters. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. And then I also like doing the little dream scene because I like leaving ominous little tidbits in your brains.
Yeah, totally. Love that too.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Creed sleeps like a baby.
Creed slept like a rock, man.
All the horrifying stuff happens when he's awake.
When I'm asleep, nothing bad happens. It's great.
At some point along this way, he's gonna find out like his parents are directly murdered by a god or something, just by like them squishing him with their foot or something. You've done everything else to horrify this man.
Away.
But that was a very good session. Glad we could do it. We should be on for next Sunday for the next episode of Beyond the Brink, and we'll go from there.